Welcome to Shri Shri Pad Baba VMST lecture series on Srimad Bhagwad Geeta. In the present session, our focus is to remain upon polygons format. The polygons format, we may formally begin with triangle as three sides, so it is being designated as P3, and we know that from any of the vertex or the corner points there will not remain any internal diagonal, because the pair of lines which may flow from the vertex of a triangle, these will lead to another pair of vertices. Therefore we say internal diagonal here in the context of a triangle, a polygon of three sides, there is going to be a eurodiagonal. A step ahead, when we reach at polygon, a setup of four sides, which is rectangle or a square. Now it has four sides. However, we know we will have a pair of diagonals. Now from each diagonal here we will have one internal diagonal. There are four sides, as such there will be four diagonals. However, the pair of orientations of a diagonal with their superimposition, there will remain only two of them. A step ahead, polygon 5, there are five sides, and from each vertex there will be a pair of internal diagonals. So 5 multiplied 2 will be 10, but the pair of orientations for a diagonal will reduce the 10 diagonals into 5 internal diagonals. We see when we reach from 0 to 2 diagonals, the difference value is 2, there is increase of 2. And a step ahead, when we reach at polygon 5, then the number of diagonals, internal diagonals are 5, so the increase from polygon 4 to polygon 5, there is going to be increase of 3 internal diagonals. Step ahead, when we reach from polygon 5 to polygon 6, then we know that from each vertex there is an inflow of triple internal diagonals. 6 multiplied by 3 is 18, and the feature of the pair of orientations will reduce the value 18 into 9 internal diagonals. There is going to be increase of 4 internal diagonals. So see, this way the sequential increase is going to be one more than before. It is this feature of one more than before that there is going to be an increase, a sequential increase of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10 diagonals, and it is this feature which will help us appreciate that the difference of the number of sides and the number of diagonals remains 2 throughout. It amounts to that the relationship is going to be of the form that this difference value, which is going to be 2. So the increase here is going to be an increase of 2. So when we'll reach ahead, when we'll be having a polygon of 2 sides only, third side is missing, so it is not a closed curve. So it is here where there would be a negative value. So one side would be missing for P2. It is this feature which we would amount to that increase from P2 to P3 is going to be of 1. It is this value which is making it an increase, and this sequence is going to be complete. And the difference between 3 and 1 as such is going to be of value 2. 4 and 2 difference is value 2. 5 and 3, 6 and 4, 7 and 5, 8 and 6, 9 and 7, 10 and 8, 11 and 9, and 12 and 10. This difference value is a value of a dimension and domain. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well, as it is in terms of this feature that we can go a step ahead to the tabulation of the difference values range of linear and spatial orders. Let us sit comfortably and let us visit this tabulation. This is a tabulation of difference values range of linear and spatial order dimension sets. So if we have a number of dimensions, say 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 12, then the linear dimensions, so single linear dimension is of value 1 and pair of linear dimensions is of value 3. The triple linear dimensions lead to value 6, quadruple lead to value 10, and like that up till 12 linear dimensions, the synthesis value reach would be at value 78. Now a step ahead, when we will be having, instead of linear spatial dimensions, then the single spatial dimension will lead to value 2, pair of spatial dimension lead to value 4, triple lead to value 6. Like that, the 12 spatial dimensions will lead to value 24. Let us see the difference value. The value single dimension of linear and spatial order lead to difference value -1. The pair of linear and spatial dimensions difference value as well is -1. The triple linear and spatial dimensions lead to value 0. The quadruple linear and spatial dimensions lead to value 2. Let us have a pause here. Let us visit polygon P3. We see in case of polygon 3, the number of sides are 3, internal diagonal as such is not there, but the difference is 0, and the step ahead, the polygon 4, number of sides are 2 and number of internal diagonals are 2. The increased value here is going to be a value which deserves to be seen, that this increased value is 2. Then a step ahead, when we had reached at polygon 5, the number of sides are 5, internal diagonals are 3, and we see the difference. Internal diagonals are 5 and we see the increase is going to value 3. Let us go to this table now. The difference value of the triple linear and spatial dimensions is 0, and the quadruple linear and spatial dimensions synthesis value difference is 2. It is this feature that we are now having. This value, the increase is going to be value 2. See, here the increase is going to be of value 2. So 0 internal diagonals for polygon 3, 2 internal diagonals for polygon 4. The increased value, the difference value is 2. Here the triple linear and spatial dimensions values is 0, quadruple linear and spatial dimensions value is 2, and the increase here is value 2. This value increase in case of triple and quadruple number of dimensions of linear and spatial dimensions difference is leading to increase of value 2. The polygon 3 to polygon 4, the reach for the internal diagonals is of 0 and value 2, and the difference value here is 2. So the difference value, the increased value for the internal diagonals of polygon 3 and polygon 4 is 2, and likewise the difference value, the increased value for the triple linear dimensions and quadruple linear dimensions on the one side and special on the other side will lead to value 0 to 2 increase is 2. A step ahead, when we'll be reaching at 5 number of linear and spatial dimensions, the difference value will come to be 5. Therefore, this value 5 is increase of value 3 over the difference values for the quadruple linear and spatial dimensions. Now, polygon 5 reach is giving us number of 5 internal diagonals. The increase here is going to be of 3. It is this parallel sequential increase in case of internal diagonals of the polygons and in case of the difference values of linear and spatial dimension synthesis for the linear and spatial dimensions. It is this feature, it is this parallel feature of the internal diagonals increase and the dimension synthesis values increase, which deserves to be comprehended well to have a proper appreciation of the organization format of the text of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta. In particular, now let us focus upon chapters 7 to 12. Chapter 7 of Srimad Bhagwad Gita is having 30 shlokas range. Chapter 8 is of 28 shlokas range. Chapter 9 is of 34 shlokas range. Chapter 10 is of 42 shlokas range. Chapter 11 is of 55 shlokas range. And chapter 12 is of 20 shlokas range. Now see, in case of polygon 7, we are having 7 sides and 14 internal diagonals. In case of polygon 8, we are having 8 sides and 20 internal diagonals. In case of P9, we are having 9 sides and 27 internal diagonals. In case of P10, we are having 10 sides and 35 diagonals. In case of P11, we are having internal diagonal 11 sides and 44 diagonals. And P12 leads to 12 sides and 54 internal diagonals. Let us see that in case of 7, we are having 30 shlokas. However, the number of diagonals and sides is 7 plus 14. In case of 8, we are having 28 shlokas range, and here number of sides and number of inter diagonals as well are 28. Therefore, let us have a pause here and see that when we reach at chapter 8, at value 8, in this phase and stage, the number of shlokas are 28 and the number of sides and internal diagonals are polygon 8 as well are 28, and the difference value here, see, the difference value here is 0 and the difference value here is 9. Now it is minus 9. The number of the sides and the internal diagonals are 9 value less than the number of shlokas, and we know that values 7 and 9 are interrelated as that 9 space is domain and 7 space is dimension. When we will be having the reverse value, the 9 minus 9 will be dimension and minus 7 will become the domain. We know that well formulation sapt with a simple rendering as 7 is of TCV value sapt is equal to 14. See, 14 is 7 plus 7. That means here the phenomenon comes to be as if that the linear format for value 7 means that when is taken on a spatial format, it will lead to value 14. This feature here is to be changed further. But before that, let us reach at chapter 9. Chapter 9 is having 34 shlokas range, but the number of sides and the internal diagonals as such is 9 plus 27 means 36, and the difference value is going to be plus 2. See, now we are reaching from chapter 8 to chapter 9, and there is going to be increase of value 2. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. See, chapter 8 is 28 shlokas range, and P8 is leading to number of sides and internal diagonals equal to 28. The difference value between the shlokas range and the number of sides and internal diagonals of P8 is 0. While we proceed a step ahead, then chapter 9 is a scripture of 34 shlokas range, while the number of sides and the internal diagonals of P9 leads to value 36, which is a value plus 2 more than the number of shlokas range. As such, the difference value is plus 2. Therefore, when we reach from chapter 8 to chapter 9 on the format of P8 to P9, then we see that there is going to be increase of value. Here is the difference value is 0, here difference value is 2. That means there is going to be increase of value from 0 to 3. One may have a pause here and take note that when we will be proceeding ahead from chapter 9 to chapter 10, and parallelly when we will be moving from polygon 9 to polygon 10, then in case of polygon chapter 10, the number of shlokas are 42, while in case of the number of sides and the number of shlokas, we are reaching at value 45, and the difference value is going to be 3. See, the reach from value of polygon P8 as a difference value 0, we are reaching at value when value 2. But step ahead, when we reach at P10, we reach at value 3. It is this feature which deserves to be changed. And step ahead, when we are reaching at P11, that means polygon 11, a chapter 11. So chapter 11 is 55 shlokas range, while the number of sides and the internal diagonals value as well as 55, and the difference value again comes to be 0. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. The difference value here is fluctuating in the way that we start with difference value 0, reach at value 2, reach up till 3, and then again we reach at value 0. Now it is this difference value 0, and it is here a difference value 0. In between there is a difference values 2 and 3, the difference of these difference values a step ahead is only of value 1. We have to appreciate this to have proper comprehension of the organization format features of Srimad Bhagavad Geeta along the formats of the polygons. Now, polygons, as we had seen in the previous session in respect of P8, and we have seen that number values range 1 to 8 and octagon are taking us and providing us parallel formats for Sankhyanistha and Yoga Nishta. Yoga Nishta presumes the existence of artificial values of numbers, while Sankhya Nishta presumes the existence of the geometric formats. And here, in case of P8 and in case of the factors of the values as 1 to 8 are leading to the difference value going to be 0, or in both cases we are reaching at value 28. It is this feature which it deserves to be appreciated fully to have a proper comprehension as how the polygons format and the dimensional synthesis format will be ultimately taking us to a parallel format, but with a shifting. And the shifting as such is going to be that it is in case of polygon 3, a triangle, that we are getting 0 number of diagonals. Therefore, for the comprehension of the chase along the domain folds, there is going to be a straightaway parallel feature. It is this straightaway parallel feature of the difference values which, in case of the dimensional synthesis, in case of internal diagonals, runs absolutely parallel to each other. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well in the context of the domain fold. Therefore, a reach at the domain fold along the formats of the polygons and in terms of the synthesis of the dimensions as a difference between linear order and spatial order. So we know that polygon as such is a surface, and this surface is enveloped within a linear boundary. So we are having a linear boundary and we are having a surface domain. This pair of situations, we are having a boundary as a linear features, and we have the domain here of a spatial feature. Therefore, this difference between the two, the format features and values of the linear format and the spatial format, is leading us to a setup which is ultimately going to be parallel to the difference values of linear and spatial order dimensions of synthesis. How is that the dimensional synthesis as difference values for the linear and spatial orders on the one side, and the organization of the polygons as the surfaces enveloped within the linear boundary of different components manifesting as the sides and the domain manifesting as surface area, are leading us to the parallel features. These parallel features of the dimensional synthesis phenomenon and manifestation of surfaces enveloped within the linear boundary is a comprehension which is being availed by the organization format of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta. Therefore, when here we are starting from chapter 7 to 12, then we see that the organization of Srimad Bhagwad Gita as a first half and a second half, we know. Here we are getting a total 372 shlokas, and here we are reaching at 328 shlokas. The middle value is 350, and here is an increase of value 22, while here is a decrease of value 22. And value 22 we know is of organization 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7, which is parallel to fourfold manifestation layer of hypercube 6 with 4 space playing the role of a dimension. Further, we know that value 4 is accepting an organization 2 plus 2 and also 2 multiplied by 2 and further as minus 2 multiplied by minus 2. One may have a pause here and see that here addition and multiplication operations get superimposed indistinguishably, and likewise the orientations as well get superimposed indistinguishably. It is this feature of orientations and multiplication, addition, all these features getting superimposed, which are playing their role here, as we know that say for in case of P8 we are having 5 internal diagonals from every vertex. This would have made for us in all 40 internal diagonals. However, the superimposition of the orientations for each diagonal reduce them and make it a value 20. It is here where we know that there is going to be a superimposition of the orientations. It is like minus 2 and minus 2 leading to value 4, like 2 multiplied by 2, and further 2 plus 2 as well is 4. That means when these diagonals in fact are the lines of our linear format, but these are the formats as internal diagonals, so these are within surfaces. Therefore the points along every internal diagonal are the surface points. These have the structures, the points here which are constituting, which are making a setup of the internal diagonal, or the points fulfilled with the structures of a two space. So it is here we are having an orientation, say on one side calling it plus, on the other side let us call it minus 1. So both these get superimposed and make a value 0 here. However, this 0 as a dimension will be leading to two space as a domain. Therefore, this internal diagonal as it is, a internal diagonal is of quadruple values. It is a plus 1 orientation, it is a minus 1 orientation. The summation value leads to 0 by superimposition, and the 0 as such is a dimension of a two space. So it is a dimension of two space, while minus 1 itself is a dimension of plus 1 space, and these quadruple features together make hypercube 1. Let us have a pause here and take note that the internal diagonals of polygons are the hypercubes. Hypercube 1. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well, because in terms of this feature we will be knowing that the Sthapatyamai ring rod, which is a synthetic setup of the hypercubes, the representative regular bodies of 1 space to 6 space. Now these internal features we know, hyperline we know, this is a domain boundary ratio is a raised to power 1 is to 2 b raised to power 0. Therefore the fixation of the boundary requires 2 coordinates. Step ahead, in case of hyper 2 we require 8 coordinates, and value 8 we know is equal to 2 plus 6, and 6 we know is the value of hypercube 2. It is like this we will be feeling that this format will be leading us to say h1, then it would be h1 plus h2, then it is going to be h1 plus h2 plus h3, and so on. It is this feature which will take us to that within a surface we will be having line and surface both. Within a cube we will be having line, surface and cube, all three together. It is this feature that there within a cube we will have the interval square and cube. Therefore this triple axis setup of a cube as such is going to be single axis, pair of axes, and all the 3 axes. This will be making h1, it is h2, and it is h3. These 3 bodies together will be sweeping the 3 space domain. Therefore it will become a Sthapatyamai ring rod. It is this sequential progression setup of a Sthapatya miring rod for 1 space to 6 space which is at work. Let us have a pause. Let us be face to face with all these features and revisit the chase and have a chase for the internal diagonals of the polygons as being of a format of hypercube 1. It is this feature for the formats of the internal diagonals which deserves to be comprehended well to have a proper appreciation of the polygons format for the organization format features of the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Let us recapitulate that on the one side there is a format of dimensional synthesis. On the other hand, there is a format of the polygons, and both these formats are being the different aspects of the applied values of the Sthapatya miring rod. Therefore, from Sthapatya miring rod, we have to reach at the polygons format, and also we have to simultaneously reach at the dimensional synthesis of the dimensions of the same order. So dimensional synthesis and manifestations of the polygons formats, these two features together when are chased along the polygons format, these will help us appreciate and comprehend as to how there is going to be a parallel organization format for the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Srimad Bhagavad Gita as knowledge is a scripture which deserves to be chased parallel to the format features as applied values of the organization format of the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. In the background, this background, we shall be in the subsequent session chasing the knowledge aspect, the enlightenment aspect of the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. We will be beginning again in the next session from the 8th chapter, when we will be focusing upon the 5 basic questions being raised by Arjuna for enlightenment from the Lord Krishna, Shri Bhagwan. Now, the 5 basic questions are centering about the Brahm, then it is about the Atma, Karma and Yajna. These quadruple formulations deserve to be chased, and when we say Brahm is Akshar, then the formulation Akshar deserves to be chased. The formulation Akshar as such is a composition of the quadruple letters. A composite letter. This leads us to value 1, 4, 6, 3 and 1. When it is in a dynamic state, then it will be leading to additional value 13. It becomes 28. And when it is Aksharam, when it is Anuswara, then it is 9 plus 19 is 28. The Brahm itself is of value 28. So Aksharam Brahm as such will lead us to value 84. We know that when we are chasing 1, 2, 3 up till value 28, then its factors, total factors of values range 1 to 28 are 84. It is this way that we will be reaching at the internal organization of these formulations. If in the next session we will be specifically taking up one by one these formulations, and then we will reaching at their internal organization, and further when formulation Brahm would be proceeded further for its trans. So Brahm is of TCV value 28, how the trans value from here is of 84. So the trans value of the formulation Brahm is 84 while its TCV value is 28, and the trans value of the formulation akshar as such is 84. It is how that there happens to be the transcendental circuits. It is from manifested formulations, transcendental code values reach for the trans along the vowels of these formulations, taking us to trans value as a transcendental reservoir domain which remanifests itself, and there happens to be the transcendental circuits. These transcendental circuits are the basic flow nerves of the body of Srimad Bhagwad Gita. We have to be parallel with the flow within this nervous network, transcendental network of the organization format of Srimad Bhagwad Gita, and it is in terms of it we shall be acquiring proper insight and appropriate enlightenment about the Vedic systems. Thank you very much.